Hello?
Yes, hi. Am I on?
Okay, sorry, forgive me. I've had so much difficulty just trying to get you on here. Hi, yes, I wanted to welcome you, Billy, to the show, our special guest for this evening. And welcome for the first time to blogtalkradio.com, having a bailout party now. And yes, I would like to focus today's, majority of today's stories on the current headlines. And if you could share with our friends here in America and throughout the world, what has been happening today from your point of view?
Well, I was listening to the House of Representatives reading the Constitution today, which was unprecedented. It seems strange that it would be unprecedented, but supposedly it's the first time this has actually been done. And when they actually was Representative Frank Pallone, a Democrat from New Jersey, when he got to the section regarding the Natural Born Citizen Clause, Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, at the part where he was reading specifically about what is necessary to be, or regarding natural born citizen, and that it applies to the office of the president, I heard somebody from the gallery, now knowing it's TC, calling out, except Obama, obviously drawing attention to the fact that Obama is not a natural-born citizen as defined, and that we have a little problem here with this aspect of the presidency, and that it should be something that the House of Representatives is dealing with, since nobody's dealt with it in 2.5 years.
And may I ask Billy, what type of reports have you seen out there? What type of response has there been to this incident, if you want to call it that?
I mean, just so far, just from hearing things on the radio, I know that Rush Limbaugh mentioned it right into the beginning of the show today. He mentioned about I don't remember if he called it a disruption, but that's kind of how it's been characterized, which is typical. It's not a problem. It's called this disruption. That was disrupting the process as they were going along. He mentioned it very clearly. I believe Sean Hannity mentioned it on his radio show, although I didn't hear it. I've read some reports that he mentioned it. I know the incident is all over the internet, and it's literally something that's tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of people very soon will be aware of. And what it will do, hopefully, is just raise the awareness that there is an issue here that is unresolved, and it's stunning that it's unresolved, since it's something that is very easy to substantiate, and the Congress and the courts and nobody is willing to substantiate who this person is in the Oval Office, and there are obviously major questions about who he is, and they refuse to do their constitutional duty and answer these questions that are answered every day about other Americans. And
that's right, and that's why I personally, Billy and friends, on the Talk Club Radio, and hopefully we'll get more guests in next, later on this day, and then even through the next few days. But I knew that this is my, personal responsibility, because I've been learning all along since I moved to D.C. in 2005, August 23rd. That it was through WorldNetDaily.com and through meeting Joseph Farah and the WorldNet Daily team, Bob Unruh in particular, senior staff editor, that was where I began to really learn in great depth about the dangerous days that we live in. And so for 5 years now, I have been just learning about the crisis, the crises that are in not only happening in this nation but around the world as well. And so now concerning this particular issue, Billy, what would you say to our national and our hopefully international audience, what we, the American people in particular, must focus on in this particular issue of the Constitution of Article 2, Section 1?
Well, it's really, this is so simple, really. It's as simple as this. What's the definition of natural-born citizen, and does Barack Obama fit that definition? That's how simple this is. That's ultimately what every one of the approximately 100 cases that have come before a court has been asking, and nobody will entertain the question. The courts insist that not only don't they want to entertain it on the merits, they say that the American people, regardless of how they are situated when they come before the court, nobody has standing to ask this question, to ask these two questions. Two questions. What's the definition, and does Obama fit it? It's that simple. Interestingly, the Senate, regarding John McCain, wrestled with this question, and they came to the conclusion that John McCain was a natural-born citizen as used in the Constitution, specifically because he had two U.S. citizen parents. Their focus was almost exclusively on of his natural-born aspect of things, which is his lineage. That was the focus. And interestingly, Barack Obama sat on that Senate Resolution Committee, and nobody ever questioned him. And what's going on here, very simply, is a perversion of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 after the Civil War, and it specifically had to do with slavery. It had to do with having slaves be constitutionally recognized as citizens. It had nothing to do with natural-born citizens. It had nothing to do with illegal citizens. It had to do with Africans who were slaves in the United States and were not considered full citizens. And this 14th Amendment has been perverted to imply that it has to do with something with the presidency. It does not. It says very specifically, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and citizens of the state wherein they reside. It's that simple. And if you want to look at it carefully, all persons born or naturalized, the implication is that born and naturalized for purposes of the 14th Amendment mean the same thing, or at least in this context have the same effect. Now, are we going to argue that not only people who are specifically just born on U.S. soil, regardless of their status, regardless of their genealogy, are natural-born citizens? We're not only going to argue that, but now we're going to argue from the 14th Amendment that not only people born on U.S. soil, but people who are naturalized are also natural-born citizens. We're taking the language and we're perverting it. This is not what the 14th Amendment had to do with, and this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to take the 14th Amendment and make it mean something it does not mean, and it has nothing to do with natural-born citizenship. Natural-born citizenship is required for one office in the United States, and that's the presidency of the United States, and that is it. And the 14th Amendment has nothing to do with it. And this is what we're trying to do in this country, and there's a movement afoot to make this happen, and the only argument that Obama can make at all, and I don't believe successfully, is that he's a natural-born citizen by virtue of being born in Hawaii, which obviously we know even that is in doubt. But that's really not the point. Regardless of where he was born, if he was born sitting on the lap of Don Ho in Hawaii, it would not matter because his father was not a citizen of the United States. His father was a citizen of Great Britain and Kenya, and that's beyond dispute. It's something that Obama has acknowledged in his books. There's no question about that as far as the information we've been given by the person who is in the Oval Office right now. So even under that standard, he does not fit. It doesn't matter where he was born.
And as a matter of fact, Billy, could you give us the definition of the natural-born citizen criteria according to the U.S. Constitution?
Well, the truth is there is some. It's not crystal clear exactly what it means, but it does not mean being somebody who is strictly born on U.S. soil. There is no way it means that. That's a perversion of the 14th Amendment. It does not mean that. Historically, what it has really meant is that it's the offspring of a father of U.S. citizenship because the citizenship went through the father. And when the father and the mother were married, the mother automatically obtained the citizenship of the father. So in effect, the child would be a child of two U.S. citizen parents, but it's specifically, just like in the Bible, the legal genealogy was traced through the father. So that's really what it means. And if you think about it logically, to think that the definition of natural born as used in Article 2, Section 1 regarding the presidency of the United States would simply mean that you were born on U.S. soil. You could have somebody fly over from China, give birth on the tarmac in John F. Kennedy Airport or LaGuardia or somewhere on the runway anywhere in the United States on U.S. soil, right? And that child could have two Chinese national parents. They get back on the plane with the child, and that child would be eligible if they comply, obviously, with the other requirements of age and residency. That person, you're telling me, that the founders intended would be eligible for the office of presidency of the United States. That person who just happened to be born on the runway in an airport in the United States. I don't think so. It makes no sense that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed with what they've done using the 14th Amendment and the argument essentially that Obama and his people and people around him and people for many years already have been making. That you could have that scenario and that person will be eligible according to the Constitution, according to what they're saying, to be president of the United States. And the same could be held true for somebody a mother who comes over the border illegally, gives birth on this side of the border. That child would be eligible to be president of the United States by virtue of the fact that the mother just happened to give birth on this side of the border. And that's what you're telling me the founders intended. I don't think so.
And so according to what the New World Order that's controlling, the U.S. government and the Obama system, as a matter of fact, if you can also comment on what did the new House representative, Speaker of the House, John Boehner, just declare when he was interviewed tonight regarding this specific clause of the natural born citizen?
Well, unfortunately, I would like to have confidence in the new Speaker of the House that he's a man of goodwill and that he will try to uphold the Constitution of the United States. But, right out of the block, the problem here, when asked specifically about this incident that happened in the House of Representatives today with you, Theresa, he specifically said that as far as he's concerned, and I don't know if it were his words or it was just the reporter's words, but from my reading of the interview, and I think there's an audio of the interview and a video that I haven't seen, which I will see, but just based on the transcripts I've seen, the indication is that he's basically speaking of the issue of the qualifications for president, Article 2, Section 1, in terms of, quote, citizenship. It's not about citizenship. It's specifically about being a natural-born citizen, not just being a regular citizen. It's not being a naturalized citizen. It's being a natural-born citizen. There's one context in the Constitution in which that's used, and it applies specifically and only to the office of president. And seems, unfortunately, a lot of people are conflating these terms, speaking of citizen and American citizen and naturalized citizen and native citizen as if they're all the same as natural-born citizen, and that is just absolutely not true. And it seems that the new Speaker of the House has fallen into the same pitfall, unfortunately, and conflated American citizen or citizen with the term natural-born citizen. And he says, and then he goes a step further and falls into the other trap of inferring from the information that if you're born on U.S. soil, you are automatically a natural-born citizen, because he was referring to Barack Obama purportedly being born in Hawaii on U.S. soil. And that was the focus. He said nothing about the parents. He said nothing about the father specifically. He was focused, again, on the birth certificate. And that's not the issue. But while on the topic of the birth certificate, the issue really is an issue of fraud. If Barack Obama put forth a fraudulent birth document, which the certification of live birth many people think is, and at best it's an incomplete document that does not substantiate his claims and historically has not been understood by the state of Hawaii even to be really good proof of citizenship and an accurate reflection of the facts, considering that it could be obtained specifically on affidavit as opposed to any type of witnesses or signatures or anything. There's missing information on there. There's no hospital. There's no doctor's name. There's no original signatures. There's nothing. So, it's the type of document that's it does not substantiate who this person is. And it seems like there's every indication that that it's inconsistent with where Barack Obama was actually born. And if there's not a problem here, why wouldn't he just turn over the long-form birth certificate? My mother's 85 years old, and she needed to get an original long-form certified raised seal birth certificate with the hospital name and the doctor's name and the witnesses and everything else on it from New York City from 1926. And she was able to get it without a problem. So it's something that people do every single day. As far as I'm concerned, if he had it, he was showed it a long time ago, and he is not. And the burden should be on the person, on the president to show that. We can't be expected to run all over the world looking to prove something that didn't happen. And that's essentially what's going on here. And the birth certificate really, the issue really there has to do with fraud.
And that's very well put, as a matter of fact. And this is why I personally, needed to make hi, friends. First of all, I wanted to say, wow, we have several friends, on our chat room. Billy, if we could just say a quick hello to God Save Our Republic. Thank you for joining us. And guest 32541, welcome. And JC Overcoming Ministries and Mountain Goat. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the brief notes that we have here from our chat room. Just one moment, please. Sorry we couldn't attend to you immediately. Okay, so JC Overcome Ministry says hello. This is great, and thank you for joining in with us. And yes, there's quite a bit going on, so bear with me, please. So God Save Our Republic. It's the Disruptor Live. Thank you. Yes, this is TC from DC Live. God Save Republic as well. Great job for bringing down the house. Thank you again. Or on the White House steps. Still wouldn't matter. And so thanks, God Save Our Republic. Thanks, Tracy. And she says hello. And this is a great comment, Billy. If there were no difference between citizen, okay, I just lost it, one moment. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, if there was no difference between citizen and natural born, there would have been no need to put both Article 2, Section 5, Clause 1. Clause 5. I think it's Clause 5. Do you agree, Billy?
Article 2, Section... why would the clearly the term natural-born citizen was a term of art that was used around the time that the Constitution was written, and it was understood what it meant. It came from the usage basically in Vattel's Law of Nations, which was accepted by the founders as an official international legal treatise, essentially, and they understood this. This was something that they read, that they understood as precedent, and it was a common expression at the time. Right now, at this point, we don't use it in that way, but it wasn't that long ago that it was used, and obviously the Constitution is written in English. It's not like we're going back to the Bible where you have the added difficulty of dealing, even though that's really in many ways it has proven not to be very difficult, of written in Hebrew or Greek or Aramaic or languages that people don't typically speak today. This was written in our own language. But the term natural-born citizen was clearly reserved specifically and only for the office of president. And the other places where they're referring to citizens, they refer to just regular generic citizens. So there's a reason it was used specifically. It's not like they just used it because they had nothing better to do. There's a lot of deliberation over this usage of the term, and Federalist Papers indicate that there was debate about it. And it was used for a reason. And the reason was because the presidency, in a singular way, they understood that the loyalty of the president should be to the United States and to no other country. They were concerned that there would be somebody who would usurp the power of the presidency. And to some extent, it had to do with usurping the power of the presidency by somebody from Great Britain who the Americans had just fought a war with. And it was not forgotten. And coincidentally, the question at hand regarding Barack Obama has to do specifically with Great Britain. So it's just interesting. I would say that Barack Obama is exactly who the founders wanted to prevent from being in the office of the presidency, from occupying that office, specifically somebody from his background, somebody who would have divided loyalty at best. And the reality is, I don't want to get too far into it, but the reality is that there's some real question now whether Barack Obama is, forget about a natural-born citizen, whether he's any citizen of the United States. There's, like I said, it gets a little bit further into the weeds, which we can't get into now, but there's some serious question whether he's a citizen at all. And there's a lot of information out there indicating that there's fraudulent Social Security numbers that have been issued to him, and numerous ones, more than just one. And there's an endless string of issues that are coming up around him: selective service issues, passport issues, citizenship issues. Obviously, we know, or most of us know, about the lack of transparency regarding school records, bar admission records. There's issues with he, for whatever reason, gave up his law license in Illinois, as did his wife, apparently for no reason. Not something that you work that hard to get, and then you give it up because you don't want to pay a fee of $100 or $200 to renew your license. And both he and his wife gave up their licenses for some reason. And these are questions that are outstanding. They've been outstanding, and unfortunately, the media has been complicit in being negligent at best, and I think I'm being generous, and complicit at being worse.
Absolutely.
At the worst.
Right, and that's why. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that the truth is, if the media did their job, none of this would have been. This should have all been handled 3 years ago. The question people should be asking is, why did the Senate investigate John McCain regarding his eligibility? Everybody knew who he was. I think his father, his grandfather were both in the Navy. I believe his grandfather was an admiral, or his father was an admiral. I mean, he's a high-ranking naval official. His mother was a U.S. citizen. His mother, I believe, was in the military too. I mean, he came from a famous, well-known family. Yet he was investigated specifically regarding Article 2, Section 1, Natural-Born Citizen Clause. And stunning as it may be to believe, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were on that Senate Resolution Committee basically investigating and coming to judgment regarding John McCain's eligibility to be president. Stunning. And the Senate resolution essentially held that John McCain, although he was born off of the U.S. mainland, he was born, in fact, in a hospital, not on the base, as some people say, but actually off of the base in a Panamanian hospital, and they focused almost exclusively on the fact that his two parents were U.S. citizens, and that's what made him a natural-born citizen, irrespective of the fact of where he was physically born. Yet nobody asked the question about Barack Obama, even though he was sitting right in the room.
Okay, and actually we just have 5 minutes in the show left. I thank you so much, friends, who joined in the chat room. I know that's right. As a matter of fact, our one friend who goes by the name Mountain Goat, you were asking about what had happened. I appreciate that you were curious of what happened after or upon arrest. And as a matter of fact, you even noted WorldNet Daily just a few moments ago noted another story at the top of the page after their initial story. Bertha arrested as Constitution read in the House. That was the breaking story at noontime today. And this other breaking story is entitled Meet the House Party Crasher, the U.S. House, that is. Okay, so that's actually this particular story goes into detail, Mountain Goat and friends, concerning what took place at the incident, as well as after the fact upon my arrest and the processing procedure that took place. And so since we only have another 3 minutes left, if I could, just ask all of you just to, get the updates here. And I do want to let all of you know that it was a very overwhelming, time, as it all happened, so quickly, of course, at just the right time of the reading. As a matter of fact, I nearly missed that portion of the reading of the Constitution of Article 2, Article 2, Section 1, because, they had to rotate the crowds because there were more crowds coming in. So I came just within minutes of the start of Article 2, actually, Section 1. And it was at that point, it was at that point that, I had to stand up, as a U.S. citizen. I'm a U.S. citizen, born specifically in New York City, that is. And so that's why I am personally taking a stand. And I'm sure others that have joined us. I know Billy and Tracy and our friends that have joined us here in the chat room. So, so we have to wrap up now in the next 90 seconds here. But please, WorldNet Daily will be following up with this, extensively, and they will be doing follow-up stories as well for the next couple of days. And so please continue to join in. Actually, if you have any further questions, on my Facebook page, that's Theresa, Theresa, last name is Cao, or now my new daily blogtalkradio.com / Heaven's Bailout Party Now. So lastly, I want to say in the last few seconds here that my focus was to tell the world that I needed to stand up to defend God, country, and the Constitution, and I believe that all of us, here believe this, that we need to take a personal stand, and as together as we do this, this is where our strength is going to come in, and we can do this most powerfully through God, through the God of Israel, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, the Word of God, of course, made flesh. And so he is our Heaven's bailout. All right, friends, so till next time, I so appreciate you joining in. Billy?
Yes?
Okay, great. We appreciate you taking the time to share the details. And if you can join us in the next days as well to to further clarify, this important issue of the National Born Citizen Clause for our audience, that would be great.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Shalom.